All right, guys, this is Ben. Obviously, you know our podcast. If you look to my right, you have Jess Matsuda. He's an attorney as well. He is going to be my partner. He's already been my life partner because he's pretty. And to my left is my third daughter, Sage. She's my work daughter, but still my daughter. So here we are. Welcome back to whatever the fuck this is, and let's get started.
Okay, so I'm going to read you a bunch of what if Reddit questions. So the caption is, swerve to avoid a crash but cause a car to crash. Am I at fault in any way? Please help. I was driving in a construction zone on the interstate, 3 lanes, and 1 lane is closing, going to 2 lanes. A truck with a trailer waited until the last second to merge, and I was slowing down to try to let him in. When he does merge, he hits the brakes, causing me to have to swerve out of the way. On my left is a wall, so I swerve into the lane on my right, causing the person in the lane to go off the road. And I hit the construction sign. I never made contact with any vehicles. After talking to the police, they said that they were going to file a single vehicle report and did not need the vehicle information. Does this mean my insurance will not go up, and am I at fault since I was avoiding much worse crash?
So I had a situation like this recently where a Muni transit bus decided to change lanes. Client is in the other lane. Client had to evade the bus by going in another lane, which caused a crash. The officers arrived, and the officers stated that she was well within her rights to go into the other lane, and they would find the bus at fault. A lot of it is investigation specific. In a situation like that, it depends on, could you avoid the large truck? Could you safely slow down, speed up to avoid the truck? If you cannot, and the truck puts you in a position where you put yourself in the wall, then there's definitely a case, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. Sometimes officers, what they'll do is they'll write a report, and this may shock you, but officers can be wrong. And in situations like that, we order the body cam so we can hear exactly what they told you. We also look at the accident itself, the police report that was generated, the accident report that was generated. And there are situations where A, you can be at fault, and I'm sorry, but B, there are situations where actually the other car or truck in this matter is at fault and you have a claim. Okay, before we move on, I just want to tell everybody this. When I was getting ready this morning, I knew that I was going to do some podcast stuff. And so I told my wife, I don't know what I'm going to do with my hair. And what I meant by that was I didn't know if I needed to shave my head because it's a little stubbly. But when your wife laughs at you because you have no hair, that's one of those moments when you realize you're fucking old and life sucks.
What do I do with my hair?
She literally went, thanks, Ames.
Thanks.
That was awesome.
Thanks, honey.
All right.
Okay. All right, so I'll tell you a different story. So this is another Reddit story. It says, caption, I accidentally pulled out in front of a driver.
First off, never pull out.
Going more than double the speed limit.
Oh, you don't have to read it. Here's the situation. Yes, if you pull out to take a left in front of a car, you're at fault because they have the right of way. You are entering into their roadway. Okay. So if you drive out and they hit you, 100% you're at fault.
Involved in a car accident, not at fault, and have no idea what to do. Hi, I'm unfortunately not as prepared in what to do in the case of an accident, but long story short, was involved in one this morning. We both were in a turning right at a 2-lane right turn, and the guy merged into the lane instead of his and hit me. No one was hurt.
Yes, you were.
We were exchanged info and still went to work after. Luckily, the guy was nice about it, and he seemed it would be honest in that he was at fault. But you never know. The damage was so small to my car, but pretty significant, and little to no damage on his. Shortly after, his insurance contacted me with a claim number, but I was at work. Everyone was telling me a bunch of different things, like not to call his company back and just to call mine. I ended up just calling my insurance company and filed a claim, in which apparently I wasn't supposed to do. But I let them know the situation as well. I am now being told to call his company back tomorrow to give my statement, but But should I say anything that would be assuming that they are taking full liability, if that makes sense? I want to be sure that I'm making it clear that it was not my fault. This has been a very stressful situation, but if anyone has any insight, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Jess, thoughts?
Yes.
Here's the situation. What you're talking about is relying on the kindness of others. And sometimes that's wonderful, other times it really bites you in the ass. But here's the situation where you're taking a left turn, correct? Right? And then the person behind you decides to merge into your lane because they're probably texting, and they hit you, all right? Your insurance company should be your defender in that situation, and to be fair, your attorney should be your defender in that situation. I'm not telling people to create injuries, but I am telling people, like, you never know if you're truly injured when you're in the accident. It's usually that's something that comes a day or two later. So in a situation like that, there are two things. One, always contact your insurance company when you're in an accident. If you retain an attorney or you don't retain an attorney, at a minimum, they need to know. Second, where the where the accident occurred on your car, the damage, that will suggest that, one, either you drifted into his lane, or two, he drifted into your lane. But your insurance company is going to be a much better person to argue on your behalf, and to be fair, your personal injury attorney will even be better than the non-attorney insurance company who is going to argue on your behalf. But in any situation, and this is pretty much like Sage, you're 20, right?
Yes.
Okay, here's the situation. When you're 20, and no offense to you, Sage, you're dumb, and you're lazy, and you wait. Okay, I did it when I was 20, it happens. But the first thing you do, contact your insurance company, then contact an attorney, then figure out if you're injured, and everything will be solved. But if you wait, then you're relying on the kindness of others. That person can lie, that person can say you hit them, that person can create a claim. You want to avoid that by being sure that whenever you're in an accident, first thing you do, contact your insurance company. Second thing you do, if you're not at fault, reach out to an attorney and see if you have a claim. All right, this one, this is a pretty straightforward question. First, yes, you can file for workers' comp. Second, you can, in that situation, file for a number of things. You can sue the person who hit you. You can sue the building that this accident happened on. You can sue the restaurant that you work for. Additionally, depending on what the district manager or your store manager said, plus what the actual facts are, potentially there's a defamation claim, potentially there are other claims, including a retaliatory action based on the fact that you were punished for simply being attacked. There are a number of things in that situation that, when they're played out, properly investigated, treated by a doctor, assessed by the other side, and in case of a workers' comp claim, there's a lot going on in that case that could benefit you significantly. That is definitely the type of case where we could have a conversation, and that's definitely the type of case where, if you follow through and everything turns out to be the way that you laid it out, there could be significant compensation. And one of the things that's annoying about being an attorney is that we always use the words could be. We can never guarantee anything, and so you'll always hear the could be and things like that. To be fair, that's a great case. But I can't tell you 100% you're going to win because I'm not allowed to. But like I said, great set of facts for you, great amount of money in your pocket if everything works out.
Somebody said, if I get in a crash with no license, what happens? Either your fault or theirs.
Is the person that's asking the question the driver that has no license, or the person that got hit?
Both. Because she's saying either
That's
your
amazing.
fault, either
She's
your
driving
fault
both
or
vehicles?
theirs. So say if you drive with no license and you cause the accident, or you're still driving and somebody else hits you and you don't have the license.
Okay. Well,
Like, will you be at fault, or what consequences are to that, I guess you could say.
I think that's that, man.
so if you're driving a vehicle and you have no license
And you get in an accident.
and you get into an accident, there could be consequences for the person that was driving without a license. Namely, if they're going to get stopped by the police, they're going to get cited for driving a vehicle without a valid license. And if they cause the accident, then they can be cited for, improper or following too close or whatever led to the accident happening. but definitely the person that's driving the vehicle that doesn't have a license can be cited. Now, if you're the driver of a vehicle that gets hit by someone and you don't have a license, well, you might get a citation as well. You might get a citation for, excuse me, for not having a valid license. But the liability is still going to be with the person that hit you from behind, regardless of if the person has a valid license or not.
And Jess, one of the things, you've done a lot of DUIs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you've defended a lot of DUIs. And there are situations where you will, wow, that was loud. Sorry. You will see a situation where somebody's not at fault and they get hit and then they're arrested for a DUI, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
and in that situation, tell me about liability.
Right. So we see that a lot in not a lot, but we see that in drivers that have been hit through no fault of their own, but they may have had some drinks or some drugs or whatever it may be. And when the officer starts speaking to the parties involved, they may speak to the person that got hit and say, have you been drinking tonight? Because I smell some alcohol on your breath. So that person might get cited for a DUI. The person that caused the accident might get cited for a DUI. So that has happened before.
But in a situation like that too, right? You can, even if you're arrested for a DUI, but you're not at fault, you can still be treated for your injuries, right?
Correct. So if you are driving, you get cited for a DUI, but the officer may or may not cite the other person for causing the accident, you still can recover, even if you're cited for a DUI.
It sucks. I've had a few of those. Where you're just like, dude, I'm sorry.
I got this good PI case, but I got arrested for a DUI.
Charged with a DUI, first offense, what should I do? Last weekend, I made a mistake and got behind the wheel after having a few drinks. I was pulled over and charged with the DUI. This is my first offense, and I'm freaking out because I have no idea what to expect. I've never been in trouble with the law before, and I'm worried about how this will impact my future. Should I hire a lawyer? What are my chances of getting the charges reduced? Any advice on how to handle this would be appreciated.
Little guy, what do you think?
Thanks, man. So DUIs happen a lot. It could happen to anyone. It's a lapse of judgment. You've been drinking and you think you can drive home. And people tend to think, like, I feel pretty good. I'm not falling over. I'm not stumbling. I can drive home. But the standard or the legal limit here in Nevada, and mostly across the nation, I think Utah might be the exception, but it's a .08 threshold. And when you look at that threshold, it's a very low limit. We're talking about maybe 2.5 beers per hour for someone my size, 6'4", 250 pounds.
Yeah, totally.
So it's a very low, relatively low threshold. So people think, I got to be wasted, I'm swerving, I'm going down a one-way street. It's typically not like that. Most of the DUIs happen when you are speeding, maybe you forgot to turn on your lights, you don't turn on a blinker. Those are your typical DUIs, and it gives the officer reasonable suspicion to pull you over to say, hey, what's going on, for a minor traffic offense. They start the conversation. When they're speaking to you, they'll probably typically say, this person had bloodshot eyes, watery eyes, his speech was slurred, and I could smell an odor of alcohol emanating from his breath or his person. And that gives him a little bit more time to pull you out of the vehicle, ask more questions, maybe ask you to perform a field sobriety test. So that's where a DUI starts. But in that situation, I would definitely recommend an attorney. Even if it's a first offense, she has no criminal history, he or she has no criminal history, it is always beneficial to contact an attorney so they can review the police report to make sure, the police did their job. Because that's the main thing, right? You got to show that Metro or NHP or wherever jurisdiction you're in, that policing agency actually did their job in protecting your rights. Did they make the correct stop? Did they use the correct tests on you? Were there any admissions? Were there any defenses? Did you state anything to the officers? When they were conducting these tests, are they certified to conduct these tests? Was there anything that could sway or alter the results of those tests? And if ultimately you submitted to a preliminary breath test, was that device used in a manner that's consistent with how that device is supposed to be used? Was that device calibrated? And then if you submitted to a breath or blood test, was that blood test done by a licensed phlebotomist?
So a
Did
lot.
they keep their certification up? So there's a lot of things that you want to get an attorney for, so they can look at those things to make sure that all your rights are protected.
And one of the things too, piggybacking off that, is like Jess and I have been doing this for about 20 years, give or take. Yeah, we're old. And so for us, it's really quick. We could get this. We could probably read a police report and tell you if you're screwed or not in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
But if you actually break down the steps you have to do, it's a very complex thing. We've just been doing it for so long, and that's to your benefit, that we can assess the case, tell you where you're at, and tell you where the issues are fairly quickly. But if you actually get into the meat of a DUI, it's a very technical thing. Is it going to affect you for the rest of your life? As long as you didn't hurt somebody, kill somebody, we should be able to take care of you. And if you hurt somebody and killed somebody, we can still take care of you, but it might affect the rest of your life because you're probably going to be a felon. But if it's a run-of-the-mill DUI, you can still be a lawyer. Trust me, there's a lot of attorneys in town with DUIs. You can still be a doctor, be a nurse. You can be a professional with a DUI. Just don't make it a habit. That's all. Buddy.
There's a lot to.
Sorry, that's kind of bad.
There's a lot to pick
I
apart
can
in
go.
that. So, my view is there would have to be some independent viewing of this officer. Even with the call, he has to establish his own reasonable suspicion or probable cause to make a stop. Just because some random anonymous call saying, hey, this person is driving home, if this officer is following this vehicle and there's no indication that this person is either intoxicated or under the influence, I don't know if that's a basis alone to make a stop, absent any kind of driving conduct that he personally sees. That's one. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Two, if the person stops, gets out of the vehicle, and then the officer runs up on him, talks to him, and makes him submit to a testing right there, here in Nevada, they can do that if you're not in your vehicle. So in Nevada, we have two different theories on a DUI. One is the .08 theory, where you have to be at a certain legal limit or above, and that's a DUI. Another one is called the per se theory, right? Even if you're lower than the .08 threshold, you still can be charged with a DUI if the officer can show that you're driving your vehicle in an unsafe manner. Now, I bring this up because if the person's out of the vehicle, they have to establish what we call actual physical control. So they can still presumably stop this person, ask them some questions, if they saw him get out of the vehicle. But again, it goes back to the first issue of whether or not the officer has that ability to make the stop in the first place.
A per se DUI is a .08. He was trying to distinguish.
I got it backwards.
He was trying to distinguish between a per se DUI, which is .08, and actual physical control. Actual physical control is where you are not necessarily in the vehicle, but however, you do control the vehicle, and if you control the vehicle, even though it's not running and they don't see you driving, it can be a DUI, as opposed to a .08, which is you were drinking, you were driving, and they see you.
Can you still get a DUI for being in a car that's parked and the car's turned off? Can you still get a DUI?
Yes.
Unless it's in your driveway.
Correct. So you have to be on a public road that the public has access to. If you're on your private driveway, no. But if you are parked, maybe you play softball and you had a game, you're in your car, you're parked, you had some drinks, and you just sleep it off. Theoretically, officers could show up, do a welfare check and make sure you're not dead or having some health issues. They check on you. If they believe that you've been drinking, they could ask you to step out of the vehicle and perform some tests. But in and of itself, you can be arrested for a DUI even if you're not physically driving your vehicle. You don't have to be actually in your vehicle to be arrested for a DUI. You could be standing next to your car with your keys in your pocket. That's enough in the state of Nevada, for the officers to arrest you for being in actual physical control of your vehicle.
There is something, they're called the Rogers factors, and it comes from the case State of Nevada versus Rogers. And what it is there's a number of checks that officers do. Were you seated in the driver's seat? Do you own the car? Is it at night? Are the lights on? Is the engine warm? Might be one, I forget. There's like 8 of them. Long and short is you could be doing the responsible thing and sleeping it off and still get a DUI. And that's why you need to hire an attorney.
It makes your case better. What I would do is lock it in the glove box, or if you can, if there's or just put it in a glove box. So what they're trying to do is establish that you have dominion and control of your keys, and you could readily move at any moment. So if you try to separate yourself from that, then you have a good argument. You might still be arrested, but it makes your case better.
And the other one that's kind of an issue too in that situation is, say you got a push start, so your key doesn't necessarily have to be in it. What sucks for you is like you're doing the responsible thing, you're sleeping in the back seat, but you got your keys in your pocket and it's hot out night, so maybe you have the AC on. Like, yeah, they can get you for a DUI. Usually if you have a decent enough attorney, you can get over those facts, but theoretically, by the law, yes, you could get a DUI in the back seat of your car. And just in case anybody's wondering, you cannot get a DUI on a horse. You cannot get a DUI on an unmotorized bike. Those are not DUIs. That's something else. Or crash, starts driving, by itself on Mount Charleston. But, okay. Oh. Wow.
Bumper cars.
That's a very aggressive Tesla. Is it going to keep going? Ooh. Hey, there's the side of the road. Oh, you're fucked. Oh, they corrected. Skynet. It's like Terminator.
Skynet.
All right, so we're watching this video of, I don't know what's going on with the Jeep. And the Jeep, is clearly at fault the first time. But then the Tesla decides it's time to drive and goes into said Jeep. So here's the situation, guys, and I'll take this one because Jess is still entranced by the video. In this situation, Jeep is 100% at fault for the first accident, but guess what? You can be at fault for the second accident. Now, you could suggest that your car is at fault. However, still your car still goes in a direction that it caused an accident, so yes, it is your fault. The savvy attorney would probably sue not only you, your insurance company, but also Tesla for the self-driving mode. But all of those things, yes, 100% you could be at fault for that second accident. But that Jeep driver really sucked. I mean, they weren't even controlling it, just sliding and nailed that Tesla head on. Really?
Boom.
Oh.
Look at that.
So it was a hit and run too?
Yeah.
Oh, you suck as a human being. That looks like your grandma, not your grandma, more my grandma.
It looks like some older folk.
Yeah.
Good that he had dash cam.
100%. Like the good thing about Teslas is they do have that video cam, but man, like I said, you're kind of at fault for that second one. Holy shit, is that Brad? What? Oh, wow. That was some anger.
What was that?
Well, he's a Corvette driver. Have you ever met a Corvette driver who's normal?
Not surprising.
All right.
Nice.
I'm going to take a photo.
Nice.
Good for her for taking a photo of the license plate. Bad for her getting out of the car. And wow.
Yeah.
He almost got hit again. All right, here's the situation. Wow, this guy's good. I don't know if
it looks like she threw something on him first.
Oh, is that what it
I
is?
think that's what I saw.
There wasn't an accident, but he karate chopped her side view mirror.
That was really good.
Yeah. It's kind of a dick, but I don't see a personal injury case there.
Can we watch that again? Because it looks like she throws something, then rolls over a window, and that's what pisses off the
girl's
guy.
not fucking around. Look at her. What's up? What's up, man? He almost hits the other car.
Right there, see?
Yeah.
He threw something.
Yeah, and then he karate chopped.
Some kind of, I don't know what that was. It's like a Donkey Kong fight.
I swear to God, it kind of looks like Brad, though, right?
So would that be criminal, or would that be
Yes, that would be
personal
malicious
injury?
destruction of private property. But I'm not seeing a personal injury case here unless there was an accident beforehand, but that was kind of awesome. But guys, never get out of your car. Never, ever. You don't know who's on the other side, especially in this town. We all carry guns. We all have anger issues. Stay in your car. If you have an issue, call the police. Let them know you feel threatened. Let them know what happened. I do think it's smart that she did try to get his license plate, but getting out of the car is never a good idea in this town.
And that guy should be charged for that kind of punch he just threw. Weird.
It's pretty funny. We're watching the video of the guy who gets fired from his job. He takes his car, he runs over his boss, and then he gets shot. It was a shotgun?
Yeah.
Oh, hell of a way to die. Lead poisoning.
Oh, okay. White picket fences.
Oh, wow. It's true. All right, so we're watching the video. People are in front of the house. It's very blurry. And there's a guy running where I see his butt crack. Yep, there he is.
Oh,
there he is. There
shotgun.
he's taking out the fence.
Okay.
That is is it a shotgun?
It looks like a shotgun.
Oh, there, I see
Yeah.
it. That's a big ass.
Well, if you freeze it like that,
Yeah.
it's a self-defense claim.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely defensive. Yeah. Are we just watching the same thing over and over again? All right. So here's the long and short of it. There was a guy in town, and you guys will see the video, who was fired from his job from doing a poor job. He decided it'd be a good idea to run his boss over. He did, in fact, run his boss over, broke his leg. However, there was a gentleman in town with a shotgun, a neighbor in town, and guess what? In Vegas, everybody owns guns. So said gentleman took shotgun, shot dude, and I believe killed him, right?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think he killed him. Guess what? Totally not at fault. Justified killing, defense of others, self-defense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you reasonably fear for yourself or others, then you have the right to protect yourself in an equal manner.
So if somebody's using deadly force,
You can return with deadly force.
yeah. Now, if somebody's going to throw hot water on you, like that cop and the chick at the house, where she's going to throw hot water and he feels the need to shoot her, not same. But if you're driving a 2-ton vehicle at somebody, they can kill you.
So, kind of going back onto our being like undocumented. So, if you're obviously undocumented, you can't get your license.
Okay, going back to the
So-
license question.
So, when you're in an accident, so you're driving a car, you're undocumented, and you get into an accident, but you're not at fault. What do you do?
Well,
What should you do in that situation?
couple of things, and I could be wrong, and tell me if I'm wrong, Jess. I believe that you can get your license now if you're undocumented in Nevada. And so you still have the ability to get your license. However, even if you're undocumented, even if you don't have your license, you're still entitled to recover. You've been hurt by somebody else's fault, negligence, sorry. You deserve something for that. You have a right to that. Just because you may not be in the country legally or your papers haven't processed yet, you still have a right to recover. And I can't stress that enough. Just because you're here, if somebody wrongs you, you have a right to be defended and you have a right to be compensated.
Should I file a claim? If so, what kind? Last night I was driving rather slow, and maybe a mental ill guy ran up and bashed the driver's side of my door of my car with some kind of metal tool. Made a police report, but of course they won't find him. If he broke and he's living on the streets for his appearance, so has nothing anyways, he got me good. I'm guessing damages at least $3,000. I have high deductible and can't afford to pay the rest. Question: at the dollar level, would it be better to file a claim than pay out of pocket? What kind of claim would it be if it wasn't traffic accident? What is it?
I mean, short answer is I'm sorry. Like, that sucks. But there are people in town who are called judgment proof, for lack of a better term. And what that means is, yeah, you can sue them. Yeah, you're 100% right. But you're suing somebody who has no money. And so, unfortunately, in a situation like that, if your car is messed up, like, you're probably going to have to use your deductible. In a situation where your bills are $3,000, I think the highest deductible by law in town is about $2,000. So, I mean, it sucks, and we all know the value of a dollar, and we all know how tight dollars are nowadays. But your best option in that situation is to file a claim. Crazy homeless guy with a metal pipe, unless he's got $1 million trust fund that you don't know about, is not going to be able to give you any money. And you can't drive around with, your side view mirror hanging off, your car going in a certain direction out of alignment. It's tough, because I remember I drove a '69 Bug when I was 18 and I was broke. Like, if somebody hurt my car, I might as well just dump it and get another one. But you got to fix your car, and you're not going to be able to recover. Guys, if you don't have your license, you're in an accident, not your fault, call us. We can take care of you. And not only can we take care of you for the personal injury part, Jess and I can also take care of you for the criminal part too. Clean up your license issue. Don't worry about it being suspended. Still have the option to get it. But let's get you healthy. Let's get you paid.
Hi guys, we're doing a new segment, what would Ben do? So if you guys have any questions on if you're at fault stories or any questions like that, you guys can just send us a DM or send us a quick text to our number. It's 702-545-7592. Thank you.
All right. Hey, guys. So apparently we're going to do a new segment. It's essentially going to be called What Would Ben and Jess Do? And in terms of life choices, probably don't listen to our advice. But in terms of legal choices, we can answer your questions, let you know if you're at fault or if you're not, or if you can recover. Criminal questions, personal injury questions, whatever you need. Life questions, once again, not a good idea. Personal injury or criminal questions, we could probably help you out. Thank you. Just let us know. Insta, phone number, however it works. I was supposed to say the gram, huh? That's what the kids say.
Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
Ticky tacky.
The ticky tacks.
The ticky tacks.
The ticky tacks. All right, that's good enough.
Twits.
I'm done.